Hi, and welcome to week 6, and happy Thanksgiving. This week, we're looking at Christology and an overview of the work of Christ. Kind of an important week. This week, we have 2 assignments and a discussion post. So it's going to be quite busy, and I understand that it's Thanksgiving. So please get an early start on your reading and your assignments, so that you can take some time and enjoy fellowship with family and friends. Our goals this week are to demonstrate comprehension of the historical debates about method in Christology and articulate a personal conviction on this debate. Now, to fulfill this in your assignments, I'm wanting you to look back and understand that the church has not always agreed on what Christ represents. The discussions primarily have been around what is his deity and what is his humanity. And some have argued that Christ was God and put that aside to become man and became 100% human and not divine until after he died. Others have argued that Christ was a deity, was God, the entire time of his life. And still others have argued that both are true, that Christ was entirely human and entirely divine. And where it becomes difficult is Christ able to sin? In other words, when he chose not to sin, was he God and therefore it was no big deal? Or was he man and therefore fallen and had the temptations that we had? And so your position on the deity and the humanity of Christ are really important. And I want you to go back and research and understand how that discussion has gone on from the time of Christ until today. Second, to define an orthodox understanding of the person of Christ and identify heretical Christologies. And as you work through what I just said, you will actually understand what heretical Christologies have been put forth by various Christian theologians. And then finally, to explain the overall work of Christ. Now, our first assignment, assignment 6.1, is that in 2 to 3 pages, describe the debate about Christological methods as presented in Erickson chapter 30. Integrate the additional reading resources on the topic into your analysis, and that's McKnight and Bird, as well as outside research. Quickly summarize key areas of disagreement in the debate and describe your own proposal for the best and most faithful method for learning about Jesus. So packed into this 2 to 3 page paper are a lot of things. One is a summary of Erickson chapter 30. So you're going to need to spend a little bit of time summarizing what does Erickson say. And then you're going to want to integrate McKnight and Bird into that discussion, saying this is where they disagree with Erickson. And then you're going to want to bring in some outside research, some biblical support, and argue your own position for who is Jesus and what should be our Christological position. As with all of our papers, this is due next Monday at midnight. In assignment 6.2, you are asked by a church member to provide some information on an evangelical view of Jesus. His nephew is attending university and has been exposed to the ideas that the Jesus seminar put forward and is beginning to question the orthodox view of Jesus. In 2 to 3 pages, briefly describe an evangelical understanding of Jesus' person and provide a defense of the deity and humanity of Christ to help support this student. Now, to do that, you're going to need support from the Bible, and you're going to need support from outside research. You're also going to need to look up what is this Jesus seminar thing, and what is it teaching, and how is it not part of evangelical view. This assignment is also due next Monday at midnight. Finally, we have two options for a discussion post. Option one, in the early church, the deity of Jesus was accepted and the humanity questioned. In other words, people said Jesus is God, but he may not be fully man. In the modern era, his humanity has been generally accepted, but his deity been questioned. Do you think these emphases, driven by apologetic concerns in the respective cultures, have been a help or a hindrance in theological thinking? So you're going to need to review how the discussions over the course of time have shifted and how the modern culture has played a role in that shift. Then I want you to discuss what dangers or challenges do you think our current culture setting presents to a proper understanding of Christology? And then finally, what steps can we take to avoid an imbalanced view? A lot to discuss in a discussion post, but one that is worth our time and effort to truly understand. Now, option two is that most Christians and churches focus almost exclusively on the death of Christ and the atonement when talking about the work of Jesus. Given the broader range of events associated with Christ's work, whether framed as stages or functions, why do you think that is? Are there any dangers in de-emphasizing other aspects of Christ's work? What other elements deserve fuller treatment? Support your observations with biblical or theological, well, I should say, biblical and theological evidence. Now, you may say, man, you used a lot of words. What are you trying to get at? And the point here is, it is without a doubt that the Apostle Paul argues that the important work of Christ is his death and resurrection. And as you read through Paul, and I think you can find several passages to support that, that Jesus' death is the atoning and hallmark piece that is part of our salvation. But Jesus lived for 30 plus years prior to that, and in the 3 years of his ministry, before his death and resurrection, the Gospels spend lots and lots of chapters talking about things that he did, miracles that he performed, things that he taught, parables that he gave. So by focusing on the atonement, are we missing something? Is what this assignment's trying to get to. And what should we be focusing on as far as the work of Christ beyond his death and resurrection? Also a great discussion post that is really worth our time and effort. As a side note, and I know it's Thanksgiving, and I know we've got 3 assignments, but don't forget to be working on assignment 7.3, which is actually due in week 8, but continue working on your theological synthesis, and in 1 to 2 pages, summarize your own conclusions and convictions about the person of Christ. Last thoughts, first and foremost, happy Thanksgiving. Please do take some time to be with family and friends. Secondly, towards the end of this week, your course survey is going to become active. That is really an important part of the course, and I want to highly encourage you to take time to fill out the course survey. I use that survey to help me improve in areas of teaching. Moody uses that survey to, one, grade me, how good of a job am I doing, but secondly, to understand the course and to place it or make revisions to that course as necessary to meet your needs. So completing that survey helps me as an instructor or professor. It helps Moody evaluate me as an employee, and it helps Moody understand the course and make revisions to the course. So please take some time to take that survey and fill that out. As always, email or call me with any questions. During this week, I'm recording this before I leave town, but I'll be in Raleigh on Saturday. In the entire week of Thanksgiving, I'll be in Raleigh, returning back to Antigua the Sunday after Thanksgiving. But email me with any questions. I should be available, and talk to you soon.